Mother Nature is a meat grinder. Let's just dive right into it once again. I'm back in southern BC. I decided to give it a second chance and hopefully the forest fires do not come back. The only good thing that came out of that big heat wave was that it baked the heck out of the mountains, got rid of all the avalanches, and from what I've seen so far, the snowpack has been very good. So I'm headed for Mount Findlay. I think it'll take about 4 or 5 days to do this. As tempting as it is to try to be a hero and crush it out in a couple, I gotta be realistic. I know that's not gonna happen. And what's the point of rushing? You know, it's my favorite place to be. Gotta enjoy the journey. I was here about a month ago with the chainsaw and I cleaned up the first 12 kilometers, so it'll be a cruise. And the next 12 kilometers might be slower going depending on how many trees I gotta climb over. And after that, from what I understand, I'm gonna be pretty much bushwhacking as I go up Granite Creek. Tomorrow's supposed to be rainy, but if I can make it to the base of the mountain and be set up for Saturday, that's my ideal window. And I managed to contact someone who did a summit about 30 years ago. They told me there's one difficult water crossing, and if I can make it up to the South Ridgeline, it's really blocky, and it's anywhere from class 3 to 5, depending on how I tackle it. That's all I have to go on for this. This is the farthest I've ever been out here. The trail is still in decent shape. I'm holding a good pace. Probably hike for another 2 hours. Call it a day. I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a lot slower going. But I just started to get a tinge of that feeling that I'm far out and alone. Alone with a dog. Rocko counts as company. After all, she did plan all this out and drive me to the trailhead. I'm just along for the ride. I started out today with a hiking pole. Whatever happened to that? I actually found that pole on a trail a couple years ago. Maybe it was just ready to find a new owner. So tonight I picked a spot away from the river so I can actually hear if bears are approaching in the night. I honestly prefer to cowboy camp with no tent, because if one does come, then I'd have full 360-degree aim with the spray, whereas like right now I'm trapped. A tent is just a false sense of security. All it does is keep the mosquitoes off me in the night. But that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. I like those little Starbucks views. They pack a slight punch to start your day. These really long days. We didn't start till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and today I have to cover a similar amount of distance, if not less. So there's no rush. It's just like sleep in, take it easy. We'll get there. Yesterday at the sign-in register at the trailhead, I noticed someone else was here about 2 weeks ago. They also listed Mount Findlay as their destination. I wonder if they made it. But for activities, they listed skiing and hunting. And I can't fathom it. How does someone carry all your skiing equipment, hunting equipment, all your camping gear this far up? Either they had a horse or they were a horse. I was honestly questioning whether or not to bring my Keen sandals for the water crossing coming up today. They got some heft to them. Next time I stop in at Walmart, I just got to buy some of those cheap feather light ones with the foam bottom. The benefit to these Keen Newports though is that You can actually hike in them when you need to and cover distance. I've climbed up mountains in these sandals. You just have to make sure you spend the extra money on the leather version. I find the fabric ones always rip apart too quickly. This cabin is privately owned, and by the sounds of it, you have to pay for a guided tour in order to stay in it. And I believe this is the point where the trail will become rougher. We're gonna find out soon. What the heck, so far this has been a beautiful trail. There's a fort coming up soon. That could be the point at which it degrades. If not, I feel like I've won the lottery on this. Mount Findlay finally making an appearance. That's the glaciated northeast face of it. I gotta head around to the south ridge line. This is where a guide would come in handy. I'm not seeing any fork in the trail that'll take me up Granite Creek. This one seems to want to go up Morajo Creek, and that's no good for me. Let's go up a little further, see if I can find something. I already got it. I think this is it. It's just really hidden and hard to see. Yeah, I walked past the entrance of this trail twice, but now that I'm on it, once again, it's totally decent. And if that was the difficult water crossing, then I'm laughing. I imagine I'll come back at some point and explore the other fork of this trail up Morajo Creek. I just love exploring all these nooks and crannies in the Purcells and Rockies and the Coast Ranges. So many of these places are never visited, and they're all spectacular. And there's adventures you can plan out that are just way more than enough to crush a person. And it's also nice to do stuff that's like close to home. It's gotten messy through here. It's a labyrinth. Just keep searching for signs that trees have been chainsawed. Rocko got all growly, so I figured there was something up ahead. So I pulled out my bear spray, released the safety. The first thing I did was trip on a branch. Next thing I know, the trigger is jammed open on it, and I exhausted like 80% of it. So now that I'm deep in bear territory, I pretty much disarmed myself. There might be like one quick burst left in it. I swear. Sometimes, I'd say all the time, my worst enemy is myself. So stupid. It looks like I've reached the end of the trail. I'll hike another kilometer up this valley, or until it looks like I reach a spot where I should start the real climbing up the mountain. Then I'll set up camp there. I feel like I keep winning the lottery with this trek. It's gonna be a beautiful, pristine day here for climbing up a mountain. I thought I picked a good spot to sleep last night, except for it wasn't. That talus pile was all full of rodents, and every time one made a noise, Rocko would get all torqued up. It was almost 2 a.m. by the time she settled down, and I'm exhausted. It's gonna take me a minute to get the engine all fired up. Try to gain the alpine from this forest, and we'll see what kind of battle we're up against. I'm starting to get excited for the main event here. I'll follow the snow up as high as I can and hop onto that rock, and hopefully I can find a way up that thing. It looks steep enough. I'll do a little climbing so long as one mistake doesn't mean I fall a couple thousand feet to a terrible demise. I spent the first 35 years of my life in Ontario. My hands and legs used to get so shaky in some situations, but I have slowly developed a bit of a comfort zone. I'm leaning more towards the south face than the south ridgeline, which started to get really spicy and exposed. I gotta consider Rocko's safety as well. I'm not too concerned about her when we're on a nice broad slope like this. I'm headed for the east ridgeline now. I'm running out of options. Let this be the one. It's kind of a low end class 4 over here. I think this is the answer I was looking for. Yes. More people have been up here than I expected, but still not a lot. And the last ascent was in 2019. I'm pretty sure this is a first dog ascent. There was just one really exposed step coming up there where if I slipped, I would have been sliding way down onto that northeast face on that glacier, and likely I would have done a hole-in-one as I funneled down into a big crevasse. But my watch says 53 kilometers back to the van, and very surprisingly I have cell service here, so I texted my mom. Still alive at this point, and I have a really long hike back to the van, but I'm so glad that worked. So happy to be here in this present moment. It's not really the same when I can't do a drone flyover, so I'll just take some pictures and try to get safely back down here to my tent, and hopefully have enough time to pack it up and make a little bit of distance back towards the van. I've decided on my way back down, once I reach my camp spot, I'm going to call it a day, but I'll likely try to move my tent away from that Fraggle Rock there so we can actually get some rest tonight. And when I was up on the summit, I just had enough cell service to check the weather forecast, and the next 2 days are clear and sunny, so I can divide that distance up on the return. Trying my best to be a little bit careful with Rocko and limit her daily distance to around about 20 kilometers. That's one of the hardest climbs I've done in a while, and I'm glad it was. It was just spicy enough to be fun and interesting with all the route finding that I had to do. But I'm glad there were options. I wasn't committed to that Class 5 South Ridgeline, but if it was the only choice, I might have tried to do it because I came a long way to get that summit. So I've been doing an ongoing review of this Garmin Fenix 7X watch. I bought it last year because the battery life on it is just huge, and I knew that I was going to get into more of these multi-day trips. I keep it in the extended power mode, which makes the GPS slightly less accurate, but it's hardly even noticeable. And over the last 3 days, it's dropped down to 70%, so 10% a day. It goes down quicker if I keep it on the map navigation screen, but I haven't had to use that too much because this has mostly been trail. But yeah, I'm really happy with this purchase, and it makes all the difference when I'm bushwhacking, just to be able to look down at my wrist and know that I'm perfectly on course. It's highly likely this is my first and last time being here, so I'm just going to soak it in, enjoy my time, and tomorrow I'll start slowly meandering on back to the van. But I've hit my goal post. Thanks everyone for coming along this far. Hope everyone's doing good, and I will see you in the next episode. This is really tasty, but it needs some hot sauce. It's missing that.